in on here, including the Longhorns and the Lady Vols.
Well, top 7 of the top 10 in the SEC, and that just makes for a grueling, absolutely grueling conference schedule. And I was talking to you before the game, Lincoln. A friend of mine said, how is Tennessee number 5 in the country but sixth in the SEC right now? Well, that's why, because you're facing off against 1 through 10 almost every other weekend, if not 1 through 25.
Texas suffered its first loss in conference when they had to head out to Gainesville, dropping the final game on that Monday. Most recently, Tennessee's handed them a third loss. And Kenzie Fiedler, your only runner to score today for Tennessee, already retired on a pitch by Tegan Gavon. But such a great atmosphere here at McCombs and all throughout the SEC.
Go look at any team's SEC schedule, and you'll see it is hard to get a sweep in the SEC regardless of who you're playing. And that's just because everyone has good arms on their entire staff, quality bats 1 through 9 in their lineup. It's the premier softball conference for a reason, and it only got stronger with Texas and Oklahoma joining this past offseason.
Taylor Pannell was hit by a pitch back in the first inning. She'd wind up being one of two runners stranded in scoring position when she was stuck 60 feet away from giving Tennessee, at the time, insurance, something they would have welcomed after the Longhorns were able to answer in the home half. And Reese Atwood, the battery mate of Tegan Gavon. Gavon, the sophomore out of West Des Moines, Iowa, did not play high school softball. And again, the strike zone today has drawn mixed reactions from the orange-clad fans of the burnt orange variety today.
Yeah, the burnt orange definitely a little bit more upset over it than the Tennessee orange.
2-2 out towards left. Stewart over the head off the wall. Will try to get the out at second. But a double with one out for Taylor Pannell. Second hit of the day for Tennessee, the first one to get out of the infield. Second time she is in scoring position.
Well, Tegan Gavon didn't get that strike on the outer half, tries to come back on the inner half, but this just below the belt. And Pannell drives that, and you saw Stewart get chased, but it was on a line shot, cleared Stewart's head. A better throw, though. They would have had a good shot at getting Pannell at second. Throw just took Katie Bennett a little bit too far away from the bag.
7 straight batters had been retired before that double for Pannell. The last batter to reach is this batter, Boo Gibson, who had that, again, pop-up bunt single. She would wind up being stranded on second back in the first. Two times already in her career, first team All-SEC. This is out of play. A year ago, Boo was a .339 hitter with 41 RBI and 7 home runs. We mentioned 4 of her last 5 hits had been home runs. She spoiled that with the bunt single. Still pretty good.
You know, no matter what it looks like, it ups the batting average and goes down as a hit.
A couple years ago, an All-American campaign. So after that All-American campaign, you see her improvement from last year to this year. I mean, most people would happily take last season's numbers.
But yeah, last season, absolutely incredible, and you see the 55 games, but already through 30, a higher batting average, more home runs.
Just fights off the 2-2, and again, I mentioned it during her first at-bat. Missed the first couple of weeks this year with injury, and yet still numbers are up.
And that increase in offensive production and power attributed, 1, to Gibson being a learner and adjusting, but 2, Coach Karen Weekly had to replace Chris Malvo, who took the head job at Auburn.
A chance to reclaim a lead here. They will send Pannell from second. It's out of the glove. We're not going to get Pannell. It's 2-1 Tennessee. Boo Gibson is struck once more. Second time in the last 2 days, Gibson has given the Lady Vols a lead here on the road in Austin.
Well, right now it looks to me that Tennessee offense is ready for the rise balls inside against Tegan Cavan. We've seen a lot of swing and misses on that pitch, but they're also now starting to barrel it up. She has to figure out how to use that changeup in the outside corner if she's going to keep Tennessee from continuing to bounce back.
First pitch to Sophia Nugent off the mark, and she had the RBI foul out to the catcher to give Tennessee that short-lived first lead.
And there you see Friday night, Tegan Cavan able to hold Tennessee just to 2 hits. You could put an asterisk next to today's 3 for 9, the one hit, a pop-up bunt that fell in the infield, but still nonetheless, Tennessee making adjustments early. And I'll say this too, Lincoln, and it goes for any pitcher. When you throw 64, 65 plus miles an hour and you're playing at night when it's starting to get dark, that speed can play on hitters, and we saw Tegan Cavan rack up 18 Ks against Texas Tech in a similar situation.
Third straight ball shot out to Katie Stewart in left. Third straight base hit for Tennessee. So Gibson down to third. It's a single for Nugent. And now twice as many hits already today. Given up by Mike White's ace, then back on Friday.
And again, another inside pitch that Tennessee is able to drive into left field, and even if it's not hard, they are ready for that inner half. So this is where Cavan, Reese Atwood, Coach Mike White have to have conversations. Don't get me wrong, there have been a couple really close pitches that Tegan Cavan has thrown on the outer half, not gotten the call on, but that doesn't mean you shy away from it. You have to continue to try to work that corner, maybe work the off speed on that corner. Tennessee has not hurt her in the off speed department. They haven't been able to barrel that pitch up. And to be honest, I haven't seen a lot of her drop ball either.
Cavan got the ground out for the first out this inning. Retiring Fiedler since that. Doubles from Panel and Gibson, the single from Nugent. Tennessee reestablishing a lone run advantage, looking for more. As Laura Mueller struck out looking back in the first. Comes up to face Cavan for a second time today.
For Tennessee, number 1, Katie Taylor, is now running at third base.
And they are going to run for Boo Gibson here. Katie Taylor in her place. So the senior 60 feet away from giving Tennessee their first insurance run of the afternoon. And a first pitch strike, the response from Tegan Cavan.
That's the outer half that she hasn't had to make Tennessee think about a ton so far in this game.
Out of play, foul. 0-2 hole. Two programs with a combined 15 trips to Oklahoma City. Each hoping this is the year that they win on that final day to claim their first national championship. Runners on the corners for Tennessee. With 1 out, make it 2 outs. Cavan has double dipped at the expense of Mueller today.
Well, that sequence by Tegan Cavan was exactly what I was talking about. She went outside low in the zone, outside for a foul ball, now uses that rise ball out of the zone against Mueller, but on the outer half versus the inner half.
So Cavan 3 strikeouts today, twice of Mueller, and the other one against this woman at the plate, Gabby Leach. Right now has the weight on her shoulders. She came up with a couple of runners on in the first. Texas got out of that jam, comes up here with 2 runners on. Nice job by Atwood, able to frame that one for the strike. Back-to-back regular season champions, Tennessee. Overall 3 times they've claimed the regular season crown, and 3 AQs out of the conference tournament as well. They swept the titles back in 2023. Ultimately would fall at home in the Super Regional against Alabama, winning that first game, but then dropping the next two in Knoxville. Tennessee has already reclaimed a lead, threatening to add more. The count goes even 2-2 with the pinch runner Taylor on third and Nugent over on first.
And Lincoln, you hit it on the head. Both these teams, obviously, postseason experience. They've gotten themselves to Oklahoma City. Both of them historically known for great arms, and more recently been able to add the offensive to that piece.
In foul territory, a little snow cone on a day that's heating up here in Austin. Mia Scott records the third out. Tennessee strands two more, but not before reclaiming a one-run advantage for their pitcher, Carlin Pickens. Their order to the plate for a second time in the third, so will Texas, and this is what Texas boasts in their top 5 spots of the lineup this year.
Well, the top 5 really has been able to get on base, drive in runs, and be the heart and soul of this offense. Not many offenses can boast 5 hitters over 400.
At last glance, when you look at the Texas record books, those 4 batters, the top 4 for Texas, could be among the top 6 seasons of all time for the Longhorns.
And you have to credit Steve Singleton and his ability not just to recruit good hitting athletes, but be able to continue to allow these athletes to grow in their game and offensively increase their production year in and year out.
Here's Ashton Maloney. She was your tying run in the first. A nice recovery by Carlin Pickens. I don't know if that was 78.2 down to first, but able to beat Maloney 1 away.
Under most circumstances, this is a base hit for Ashton Maloney with her speed, but Pickens has to run through it, does a great job, but able to plant and make a great throw. That throw, high or low, Ashton Maloney probably beats it out. That had to be picture perfect for Carlin Pickens.
So Caden Henry, who is 0 for 1 with a strikeout today against Pickens. First time through the lineup, Pickens recording 3 strikeouts against the Longhorn lineup. The first was Henry back in the first. Often when you ask a coach to draw comparisons to a past player, they don't go to an existing player on the roster, but when we talked about Caden Henry a couple years ago when she arrived, he goes, yes, just like Mia Scott. You still have Mia Scott for a couple more years. You have the embarrassment of riches of having both playing together.
Correct, and you conveniently he can conveniently say he recruited them from the same travel ball organization, and the two of them also played 3 years together in the travel ball circuit. So Caden Henry has been around Mia Scott plenty, but left-handers who can play short game, who can hit for power, who can run. You know, Mia Scott hasn't had to run as much the last 2 years, but has that ability.
You saw Scott in the on-deck circle. Payoff pitch. Pickens twice today has struck out Henry. 2 away.
Another strikeout, and again, Caden Henry just not on plane. She's swinging over all of these pitches by Pickens. Maybe over swinging a little bit, trying to catch up to the speed of Pickens.
Carlin was not able to get out of the first inning with that lead still intact. She's trying to get out of the third inning with this second lead that's been established for her. Mia Scott standing in her way. First pitch a strike from the Lady Vols ace.
You can see when Mia Scott gets in the box, she's a lot closer to that chalk line today than she has been in the past. That foot is right on that back corner.
Tough hop, charging Mueller, and just has to swallow it. Infield base hit for Mia Scott, her 4th hit of the weekend. It comes with 2 outs, and it brings back the bat of Reese Atwood, who had the game-tying RBI double back in the first. Atwood tattooed that left field wall. Maloney would score all the way from first on that base hit.
Have to imagine that if Reese can get anything into the gap, that Coach White's going to be waving Mia Scott home as well. The senior at first base has incredible speed, and there's a third gear that when she has to score, she can find.
57 RBI on the year already for Atwood.
But, you know, right now, if I'm Tennessee, Lincoln, I'm going to probably try to avoid Reese Atwood in this situation. I'm going to force Jolie Mitchell and or Katie Stewart to do something behind her.
2 outs, run on first. Charging his panel and fires a dart over to first. So Tennessee not made to pay for the 2-out base hit from Mia Scott. Longhorns will strand their third runner of the day, and the lead still intact for the number 5 team in the nation. And panel.
And that changeup has been low and not close to the zone. That one gets away from Reese Atwood.
Tennessee has stranded 3 in scoring position. They've got 2 more in scoring position here.
There's not many times I would say walk the bases loaded, but I think right now against Gibson I might.
And Boo Gibson truly the difference maker last game with the home run. And Mike White is ready to make a change. Next pitcher for the Longhorns is going to inherit a 2-0 count on Boo Gibson. And the start, at least for Tegan Gavon, is over. We'll step aside. Lady Vols with 2 runners in scoring position. Nobody out in the 5th, looking to add to a 1-0 lead before Sit Lally takes the circle.
What's harder?
Second start of the weekend. She leaves a 1-run ball game, but the Lady Vols threatening.
Really, the first time this season the sophomore has struggled any, and it's not that bad of a stat line to be honest, but it was just controlling the at-bats, being able to stay in ahead, utilize off speed. Just not as sharp as she normally is, but gives way to junior Lali Gutierrez.
Second straight day that Tennessee will see Gutierrez come in relief in the circle. She entered in the 3rd inning yesterday. Would go 4 1/3 to close out the ball game. She would face 16 batters, give up 4 hits, 1 earned run, striking out 3. So again, a 2-0 count to Boo Gibson. First pitch fouled off, 2-1. Boo with a single in the 1st, RBI double in the 3rd. They pinch ran for her in the 3rd, so she re-enters. They cannot sub for her again, otherwise her time in Austin is over. And Texas may have caught a break. Stewart underneath it. It will be a sacrifice fly, though. The remaining base runner for Tennessee is going to run her way back to the dugout. So Boo Gibson with the sac fly brings home Kenzie Fiedler. Taylor Panel now, the 2nd out of the inning.
One pitch, and Sivali Gutierrez able to get them 2 outs. This pitch over the heart of the plate, though. You can't miss those spots to hitters like Boo Gibson. But the sac fly to Katie Stewart, a great throw. Knowing they don't have the runner at home, Katie Simmons cuts heads-up play to get Panel, who was trying to go from 2nd to 3rd. Panel has to see that ball all the way through the cut before she takes off.
Here's Sophia Nugent. The RBI foul out back in the 1st inning. Preceded her single in the 3rd. And Tennessee finally has insurance on the board. Current score 3-1 was their victorious scoreline yesterday.
But I'm going to go back to that would not be a sac fly if that changeup in the dirt hadn't gotten away from Reese Atwood.
Yeah.
So that pitch in the dirt as a wild pitch or pass ball, that was all the difference in Tennessee having a 2-run lead right now.
Oh, and remember how they scored their first run of the ball game. Little things adding up.
Well, when you're playing a top 5 matchup, and these are the matchups you're going to see in Oklahoma City, those little things are all the difference in the world, and Texas knows that.
Again, it was Nugent at the plate, who is a routine foul ball. But when your first baseman and catcher collide, able to hang on to the ball, they arguably would have been better off dropping the ball in that situation, because all of a sudden you had coming home, Kinsey Fiedler at the time, who has now scored twice today. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Gutierrez on in relief, facing the cleanup hitter, Nugent. On the right side, Simmett snags it. And Texas has some work to do heading into the home half of the 5th. Tennessee's grown their lead to 2. Eastern 6 Central. So just because this series wraps up on a Sunday doesn't mean that your enjoyment of some top 25 nationally ranked softball has to conclude with the weekend. Love that the SEC carries over onto Mondays. Often get to hear the head coach of the home team mic'd up as well. Appreciate the time of both of our head coaches in this one. Getting the chat to chat. That's going to be a foul ball. As Katie Bennett trying to lead things off here by reaching base in the 5th inning.
Katie Bennett almost had herself a bunt single. If that was just about 3 inches more inside the line, she deadened that ball nicely right down the 3rd baseline.
Got to talk to the grounds crew about that one.
Build some dirt up there on the chalk line.
Bennett 0 for 1 today with a ground out to the left side against Carlin Pickens. Still going strong in her start. Now enjoying an insurance run. And the count will stay at 1-2 to Bennett, with the top of the order for Texas waiting in the wings. And Texas bat starting to cool off. I think we understand the leading reason why.
When you're facing one of the best arms in the country, you're not going to put up 7 runs a game. And obviously Texas knowing it was going to be a tough one going into this series.
Able to lay off that one outside, 2-2.
Well, and just how good is Carlin Pickens? You see there, top 10 in the country, ERA under 1.
Bennett got a piece of it to keep her at bat alive, 2-2.
An ERA under 1 in this day and age of softball is not an easy thing to do. There's so much technology that can emulate what pitchers do. There's so much technology in the scouting department. It's not a secret what pitchers do anymore.
Bennett's a .476 hitter leading off an inning, and she's going to reach here.
Well, this is a crack in the door that Texas needs to bust open. Katie Bennett does a great job being able to put this ball in play. Got some good spin on it, too. We've seen Mueller eaten up on a couple of spinning ground balls here in Austin. But with no outs and Texas having a base runner and going to the top of the order for the 3rd time today, it's their time to crack through if they're going to be able to do it.
It is an error on the shortstop. Katie Bennett doesn't care how it's scored. She just hopes to score this inning. Tying run at the plate, Ashton Maloney in your top of the order for Texas coming around for a 3rd time. Maloney, the only Longhorn to cross home plate today. That was back in the 1st to tie the game up at the time. A single in the 1st, grounded back to the pitcher in the 3rd. 1 for 2 today.
You see Pickens just go right at Ashton Maloney to try to thwart the momentum that Katie Bennett had started. This is where Texas looks like they're just over swinging a little bit. You're a slapper, put the ball in play, let Katie Bennett run, let your speed work.
6th strikeout for Pickens today, 2 of them at the expense of Caden Henry. And we'll see if the 3rd time to see a pitcher really is the charm in a ball game. Right up the middle, off the glove of Pickens. Still a chance to get the lead out. A nice recovery by Ella Dodge. If there's not a base runner, That's an infield base hit.
Yeah, this looked like it might get through, and Ella Dodge able to make a great play. Katie Bennett started sliding just a little bit early there, slid her up, but nonetheless, Tennessee has been able to make quick work since Bennett got on base. But Lincoln, Tennessee, 3 runs, and Carlin Pickens in the circle is a pretty good equation, as they are 17-1 when runs and Carlin Pickens starting.
And a chance to get out of the inning here, giving way to the shortstop, Mueller. So Katie Bennett got on to get the 5th inning started. Next 3 batters for Texas retired. Lady Vols looking to add a little more here late. Covering home, Kenzie Fiedler able to come home to score. Reese Atwood, though, in the bottom of the 1st, would quickly erase the deficit, bringing Ashton Maloney home, who had led off with a single. On to the 3rd, Lady Vols would establish their 2nd lead, a lead that they have not relinquished. They have since tacked on insurance in the top of the 5th. As we welcome you back here for the top of the 6th. Of course, last innings that Lolly Gutierrez came in, would ultimately record the 3 outs needed, but not before Tennessee did tack on insurance on a sac fly. As Mueller over the left side, good. 1 away. So on to the top of the 6th. These are some of your storylines so far today. Tennessee's top 4 has been just fantastic against Texas pitching.
Well, that's been the key, is not just the 2 extra base hits, but being able to find a way on base. And you and I mentioned last half inning, Lincoln, that it's the small things. The little things have to be taken care of, and when you're in a matchup like this, and so many of them throughout the SEC, but more importantly, when it's an intense and tight moment, the little things are all the difference. And right now, you take away the pop-up bunt and not covering the plate, and then the wild pitch last inning that advanced runners into scoring position, this could easily be a 1-1 ball game.
So Gabby Leach, an 0-2 count, seeing Gutierrez for the first time today. And Sitlali, the former state champion, former Stanford High School standout, on her junior year at Texas.
So Lali Gutierrez has been such an integral part of this staff since her freshman year. Throws some good off-speed, both a changeup and an off-speed curveball. But this year in particular has been so much better in relief than starting. So Texas able to use her behind both Tegan Cavan and Mac Morgan.
Last 2 pitches off the mark, count 2-2. And Gabby Leach and her twin sister Alana, the sophomores out of the Woodlands. First strikeout for Gutierrez.
Oh, Gutierrez trying to get Leach with a changeup before this pitch, but then goes up in the zone with a rise ball. Same spot, but a little bit harder, and gets the swing from the Texas native.
This is the first time Amaya Doyle is not leading off an inning when she comes to the plate. 0 for 2 today against Cavan, leading off in the 2nd and the 4th. Comes up here with 2 outs, nobody on. Doyle hitting 157 on the year, actually hitting even better with 2 outs, a 273 hitter to extend innings. If you're in Knoxville and you're the scoreboard operator, you just put a couple outs up there to see if that doesn't work when Doyle comes to the plate.
After everyone else turns their back, go ahead and change it to 2 just so she sees it.
An audience of 1. She'll try to extend things here. Ella Dodge on deck. And Texas with Atwood, Quiroga, and Stewart due up in the home half. Gutierrez trying to get them back into the dugout without any damage done here. The 2-2 with 2 outs. Lofted over into foul territory. It's a 3-up, 3-down inning for just the second time today for the Bats of Tennessee as Sitlali Gutierrez gets the Longhorns back into the